Hello from Bug Eye Guy, and this week I am excited to share with you a 1956 Austin Healey 100 with an M kit installed. That means it replicates the factory Austin Healey 100M, of which there were 640 made, and that M kit was made available by Donald Healey to be retrofitted on other Austin Healey 100s. So you see those kits added both by dealers and then after the fact during restorations, such as in the case of this car, they were added to produce the same factory 100M specifications and driving qualities. And that's what we have here. This is a car, it was again built and shipped in 1956. The heritage certificate that comes with the car shows that it went to Germany when it was new, eventually finding its way to the States. It was purchased by the last owner in 2008 and restored through, I think, 2011. So we have a 10-year-old restoration on a fantastic car with all of the right M features, and it's been certified as an accurate M kit by the Austin Healey 100M registry, which is a very important piece of paperwork that comes with this car, so that you know it's not just a car with a leather strap and a louvered hood, but that it has all the correct ingredients to deliver the M specifications. So that's the overview of what we have. Now I want to tell you a little bit about this car in terms of my experience with them. This is about the 6th 100 I've had. I've had 3-speed and 4-speed cars, and this one being a BN2 with the proper 4-speed, you have a conventional shift pattern, an H pattern, as you see on the shift knob there. The 3-speed cars have a very strange, it was formerly a column-mounted transmission, a shift lever for that transmission on an old Austin. It was moved to the 100, and you ended up with the most unusual upside-down 3-speed shifting configuration I've ever seen, and it's not as desirable for that reason. This 4-speed setup is the way to go. Also, you should note, I happen to think this car rivals the E-Type in terms of its pure flowing lines and just beautiful sculptural shape. The whole line here, the way the tonneau tapers in this sort of flowing curve, this just the shape of the rear fenders. It's one of my favorite all-time shapes, and I really think this is such an iconic form that you just don't see anything like it. It has this amazing fold-down windshield feature. If you're unfamiliar with these cars, they were marketed to go 100 miles an hour when they were first designed in 1953. They did not, or probably before 53, they didn't make that goal. So by getting the windshield out of the way, they were able to reach 100 miles an hour. Of course, it wasn't very practical, but it did allow them to deliver on their objective, and the styling of this windshield in the low position is just outstanding. There are pictures of this in the listing on our website at Bug Eye Guy, but what happens is the entire frame lifts up, and out of this assembly there's a pin right under here, and that pin then goes into this receptacle here, and the windshield is now raked at an angle something like that. And we don't have a lot of room because there's a snowstorm outside, so we're inside today, but it's just a gorgeous thing. Of course, we need a little bit more distance, but to see it. But nonetheless, it's just stunning. And then you also have this amazing curved windshield. This is really, in my humble opinion, the most beautiful Austin Healey windscreen. It's very slender. Of course, it's a little bit fragile, but that all can be dealt with if you're careful with all this. You can by yourself remove that windshield from the upright position and move it into the low location. And then we have this incredible grille, which is unlike any other car, really. I mean, I don't have to tell those of you watching, the front end treatment of these cars is just exceptional. All the 3000s, there's some variants in the 3000 grills. I think this is one of the more unusual. If you think about a triangular shape, they ended up with more of an oval on the later cars, but that's part of what makes this thing so special, in my opinion, is that unique shape of the grille. And then we have these beautiful cove lines. These are done really nicely. The transition from this Healey blue color, which is very accurate, very beautiful. It's a really high quality paint job. And then you have really nice coves. You have excellent body lines here. On a lot of these cars, you'll see error in the way these lines and the way this seam meets, and this one fits quite well. And so there's just so much to like. Even these pods, the early cars didn't have these, but the BN2s, I think all the BN2s had that reflector pod. It was the early car. I think the transition happened in '55, but there are people out there who know those subtleties better than I do. I just wanted to share what I think is so spectacular about this vehicle. Even the dashboard curve, I've said this in other videos, but when you think about the shape of a dashboard, that it could do that is really just outstanding. I mean, the female form is evident everywhere on this car, and Jerry Coker, who designed the Bug-Eye Sprite but also designed this thing, unfortunately he passed away this year, but he really deserves a lot of credit for designing a very special automobile. This one is for sale on our website. If you're interested, you can find tons of pictures of it there. It's an exceptionally nice car. Even though it was restored 10 years ago, I believe that it was primarily stored for those 10 years. It was not used much, you can tell. It has very few paint flaws or chips. There are a couple little minor spots. There's a little bit of a ding here from pressing this too hard instead of pressing on the seam. These bonnets are a little bit fragile, so that's a subtle detail, but you might be able to see that in this video. And so that's something that's not perfect, but other than that, it's an amazingly nice driving car. The evidence of all of the restored pieces is very clear and apparent to me from having driven a bunch of these. It's a good, tight car. It runs extremely well. It's got a lot of power. And one other thing, the gearbox in the video, well, you'll see our driving video if you're interested. The first gear makes a little bit of noise, and you know, it's one of those things that would be nice to rebuild that gearbox, but I don't really know that it's worth all the trouble to do that. Some of the people out there who might want this car would want us to do that. We're happy to do that job, but it's the kind of thing that comes up when the car is for sale, and if you owned this car, you would use that gearbox probably for the next 30 years and not worry about it, but that's up to the new owner to decide. It's not perfect. A lot of these gearboxes do have wear issues. This one is just not freshly rebuilt. The overdrive does work, which is great. So I'm rambling about a car that I happen to love just so much because I've never owned anything this gorgeous, this sculptural, and I wanted to share it with you today here at Bug-Eye Guy.